Have you ever wondered if there are still stunning places on Earth that almost no one has ever set foot in? Such as a waterfall, with water crashing down like a bride's veil. Or lakes with unique, otherworldly colors that leave you in awe. There are places so remote that just hearing their names urges you to visit and witness their wonder with your own eyes. Their isolation allows the landscape to develop naturally, shaped only by the rhythm of nature. This quiet and rare beauty makes them more special than any famous destination. Join us as we explore these unseen wonders. Places so beautiful that you'll want to be one of the few who ever witness them. Horsetail Fall is a seasonal waterfall appearing on the eastern face of El Capitan in Yosemite National Park and flows only during winter and early spring snowmelt. The phenomenon that made it globally known is the firefall, occurring in mid to late February, when sunset light strikes the falling water directly. The firefall depends simultaneously on sufficient snowpack, warm enough temperatures for melting, and completely clear skies at the exact moment of sunset. For about 10 brief minutes each day, the watercolor shifts from yellow to orange and then deep red before the light disappears. Unlike waterfalls fed by permanent rivers, Horsetail Fall forms directly from melting snow on the mountain surface and can cease flowing entirely within days. Penitentes is known for giving its name to the phenomenon of penitential snow, where sharp ice columns naturally resemble rows of white-robed figures kneeling in traditional Spanish Easter rituals. These ice blades can range from just a few inches to about 16 feet tall, rising higher than a single-story house with razor-like forms. Due to global warming, Penitentes fields are shrinking, and visitors who came 20 years ago report that the formations are no longer as tall or as dense as before. Tianmen Mountain Road is a mountain pass road located within Tianmen National Forest Park in Zhangjiajie, Hunan Province, China, constructed directly along steep limestone slopes. The route contains 99 consecutive hairpin turns, a number associated with longevity and continuity in traditional Chinese culture. Construction lasted about 8 years, from 1998 to 2006, requiring manual drilling and explosive placement because heavy machinery could not access the cliffs. The road climbs from roughly 656 feet to about 4,265 feet above sea level over a distance of approximately 6.8 miles. Vertical rock faces rise on one side while deep drop-offs fall on the other, and cloud cover frequently forms due to elevation and humidity differences. To view the entire road layout, you can observe it most clearly from the long cableway running parallel above the mountain slope. Laguna Roja is a saline lake on the Andean Plateau identified by naturally red water ranging from deep crimson to rusty tones. The coloration results from dense concentrations of pigmented single-celled algae combined with mineral sediments suspended in the shallow water. Small islands made of borax and crystallized salt appear across the lake surface, creating a sharp contrast against the red water background. Despite its wide surface area, Laguna Roja has an average depth of about 1 foot and a maximum depth of roughly 5 feet. This is one of the few locations where you can observe all 3 South American flamingo species, including Andean Chilean and James flamingos, at the same time. The deeper pink plumage of these birds is directly linked to a diet rich in red algae, and the James flamingo was rediscovered here in 1956 after being considered extinct. Vitsakur is a 15-foot-tall basalt stack rising from the ocean, famous for its unusual shape that resembles a dragon drinking water or a petrified creature from Norse mythology. Geologists identify it as the hardened magma core of an ancient volcano that last erupted around 13 million years ago. The rock's surface is coated in thick layers of uric acid from bird droppings, forming a living ecosystem where seabirds nest along 90-degree cliffs. In 1955, locals reinforced the base to prevent it from collapsing into the sea. The two holes near the bottom were carved by selective erosion, where waves broke through the weakest points to create two perfectly symmetrical arches. Every 12 hours, the changing tides erase and rewrite the entire landscape, turning the rock from a lonely sea island into a towering formation on a vast black sand beach. Mellifell is a perfectly shaped cone volcano covered in bright green moss that stands out dramatically against the black sand desert of Iceland's highlands. The moss changes color, with weather conditions turning vivid green when wet and shifting to silver gray or brown during dry periods or winter. Although its height is only about 2,595 feet, Mellifell rises abruptly from a completely flat, volcanic ash plain. Its structure is composed mainly of pillow lava, a rock type formed when molten lava meets icy meltwater instantly. The mountain is accessible for only about 90 days each year, because from October to June, the entire area is buried under deep snow, and glacial meltwater turns the desert into an immense mud field. Within a radius of 31 miles around, Mellifell population density is 0, making it one of the most untouched regions on Earth. Prohodna is world famous for two massive holes in its cave ceiling that are nearly symmetrical, resembling a pair of human eyes looking down from above. When it rains, water flows through the holes and forms long streaks on the cave walls, making the giant eyes seem like they are shedding tears. The entrance to the cave is about 150 feet tall, roughly equal to a 15-story building, and it's a top bungee jumping site in Bulgaria for thrill seekers leaping from the stone arch. Beneath the two ceiling holes is an isolated ecosystem where mosses and ferns have adapted to rapid temperature shifts from 32 degrees Fahrenheit at night to intense heat under direct sunlight. Despite standing for 68 million years and enduring thousands of earthquakes, the cave remains intact with its eerie ceiling holes, a geological marvel far beyond what any human structure could achieve. Grüner See is known as the Caribbean of the Alps because even though it sits at over 2,300 feet among grey limestone peaks, its water stays vividly clear like a tropical island. In winter, the lake nearly disappears, and you can sit on a wooden bench in the meadow, but by summer, that same bench lies beneath 40 feet of crystal clear water. The lake's iconic emerald color doesn't come from minerals or algae, but from sunlight reflecting off live grass, still photosynthesizing below the surface. Because the water is so pure and lacks nutrients, there's almost no algae or bacteria, and only a few cold-tolerant trout species can survive. Since 2016, swimming and diving have been completely banned to protect the lake from human sweat and chemicals that cloud the water. The lake reaches peak beauty in June, but starts to recede in July, and by fall, only a dry field with small puddles remains. With 7 massive skylights piercing its stone dome, Devatashka is not just a cave, it's a place where light and shadow merge in ways seen nowhere else. In the 1950s, the military used the cave as a secret fuel depot, and today you can still see the circular concrete bases where giant oil tanks once stood. The entrance rises about 100 feet, the height of a 10-story building, while the interior is spacious enough to hold a stadium or several large aircraft at once. Every year in June and July, the site closes completely to allow over 30,000 bats living here to reproduce undisturbed. The Lalibela rock-hewn churches form a complex of monolithic churches carved directly into basalt bedrock in northern Ethiopia. These structures were created in the 12th century using a method of excavating downward into the ground and carving upward, rather than stacking materials from the surface. Each church consists of a single block of stone, separated from the surrounding mountain, with thousands of tons of rock removed to create pillars, windows, domes, and an internal drainage system. The entire complex is connected by narrow tunnels, deep trenches, and stone stairways, forming a continuous underground network between the churches. Despite being subterranean, the site shows no recorded flooding due to its engineered drainage design, carved into the rock. When moving between sections, you must pass through dark and confined tunnels, reflecting the original spatial layout preserved through centuries of uninterrupted religious use. Landmannalaugar is a geothermal region in the southern highlands of Iceland, known for its multicolored rhyolite mountains and world-class hiking trails. Due to the presence of sulfur, iron, moss, and other minerals, the mountain colors range from yellow and pink to red and blue, resembling giant candy pieces. Next to the campsite runs a natural hot river, where geothermal heat mixes with cold spring water, creating an ideal outdoor bathing temperature of about 97 to 104 degrees Fahrenheit. Surrounding the area are lava fields from the year 1477, filled with sharp, glossy black volcanic glass known as obsidian. The weather here is unpredictable, with snow, sun, rain, and strong winds all possible in a single summer day. It is also the starting point of the famous Laugavegur Trail, which typically takes 4 days to complete and showcases some of Iceland's most breathtaking landscapes. Rainbow eucalyptus forest is one of the world's strangest forests, where tree trunks appear painted by artists but are actually colored by the tree's natural bark-shedding cycle. The newest bark layer starts bright green, gradually turning blue, purple, orange, and finally reddish-brown before peeling off, revealing a living color spectrum on the trunk. In the wild, this species can grow between 250 and 330 feet tall, the height of a 25 to 30-story building, and can gain up to 5 feet per year. Despite its jewel-like appearance, this tree is also an important raw material for white paper production due to its straight trunk and rapid growth. Petra Gorge is one of the strangest waterfalls in the world, where a 255-meter drop plunges straight through 3 perfectly stacked natural rock bridges. These stone bridges appear fragile, as if they could collapse at any moment, while the falling water doesn't form a pool, but instead vanishes into a complex underground cave network. In 1988, scientists poured fluorescent dye into the stream and discovered it flows through the mountain and reappears in a distant village. The most powerful views of the waterfall occur in March and April, when melting snow from Mount Lebanon feeds a strong water flow. There are no safety rails separating visitors from the abyss, and the rock surfaces are extremely slippery due to moisture, yet many people still climb the rock layers to view the falls from different angles. Guoliang Tunnel is located in Henan Province, China, and is a roadway carved directly through a steep mountain cliff to connect the Guoliang village with surrounding areas. Before 1972, this mountaintop settlement remained completely isolated due to the absence of any road access. The tunnel was constructed manually by 13 local villagers over approximately 5 years, during which thousands of metal tools were worn down by continuous rock cutting. The interior surface of the tunnel remains rough, clearly showing hand-carved marks left in the mountain rock. The roadway follows narrow zigzag sections along a cliff about 1,969 feet deep, separated from open space mainly by natural stone formations. Around 30 irregular window openings were cut through the cliff wall, originally used to remove debris, and now allowing direct views of the deep gorge from inside the tunnel. Melisani Cave is often called the Cave of the Nymphs in Greek mythology, and its roof collapsed completely after a powerful earthquake in the year 1953. The water is so clear that it looks only about 7 feet deep, but in reality, some areas reach a depth of 128 feet, equal to a 13-story building. The color of the water shifts dramatically throughout the day, appearing pale turquoise in the morning and turning deep blue at noon. The water requires exactly 14 days to travel through the island's massive limestone maze before emerging inside the cave. The Ustjert Plateau stands out with a landscape that looks almost extraterrestrial, defined by towering white chalk cliffs and shimmering salt fields stretching across the horizon. The entire surface was uplifted after a violent tectonic collision about 21 million years ago, transforming what once lay thousands of feet underwater into a dry desert. The limestone walls appear pure white, but shift to shades of pink-orange or bright yellow, depending on the angle of sunlight at sunrise or sunset. Scientists have recorded zones containing thousands of ancient shark teeth and marine fossils scattered across each square mile. Ustjert also features massive stone arrow formations ranging from about 2,600 feet to nearly 1 mile long, visible only from aircraft or satellites. UV radiation reflected from the ground is intense enough to cause retinal damage and second-degree skin burns after only a few hours of exposure. Lake Natron is a soda lake in northern Tanzania with highly alkaline water containing large amounts of natron made of sodium carbonate and sodium bicarbonate. The lake water can reach a pH level of about 10.5, creating extreme chemical conditions for most forms of life. Intense evaporation increases salt concentration and supports the growth of salt-tolerant cyanobacteria, turning the water red or orange. The lake surface often develops a hard salt crust that fractures into geometric patterns, contrasting white salt with dark-colored water. During the rainy season, the water becomes more diluted and less colored, while the dry season produces the strongest red coloration due to rapid evaporation. When animals die and fall into the lake, the mineral-rich alkaline environment causes their bodies to calcify and retain their shape. Lake Natron functions as the most important breeding site for lesser flamingos, hosting about 75% of the global population on salt islands that limit predator access. Bingham Canyon Mine is located near Salt Lake City in Utah and is the largest man-made open-pit excavation ever created. The pit measures roughly 2.5 miles wide and more than 3,900 feet deep, operating as a major source of copper, along with gold, silver, and molybdenum. The interior of the mine is carved into a spiral-stepped structure where each level functions as an industrial roadway for haul trucks carrying hundreds of tons of material. Variations in mineral composition cause the exposed rock walls to display bands of red, orange, brown, and blue-gray colors across the pit. In 2013, a massive wall collapse inside the pit triggered the largest non-volcanic landslide in modern history, producing seismic signals detected by instruments hundreds of miles away. painted dunes is a vivid testament to the power of ancient volcanic activity, where layered bands of color form a surreal scene across barren terrain. The entire landscape was shaped by intense eruptions from cinder cone volcano around the year 1650, leaving a spread of volcanic ash that has remained nearly unchanged for centuries. The colors appear in uneven clusters due to variations in heat exposure, creating brushstroke-like patterns across the dunes. Scattered pine trees grow across the ash field, clinging to porous pumice rock that barely retains any moisture, relying on extreme drought tolerance. Scientists estimate that to produce such intense coloration, the lava beneath had to sustain temperatures above 2,000 degrees Fahrenheit for an extended period to bake the ash layer. To reach the best viewpoint, visitors must climb to the summit of Cindercone, over 700 feet high, where loose ash causes each 2 steps forward to slide 1 step back. Hormuz Island is known as the Rainbow of the Persian Gulf, where nature spent millions of years creating a landscape with more than 70 shades of colored soil and rock. Seen from above, the island resembles a giant artist's palette, with red, yellow, orange, green, purple, and white earth spread across the terrain. One unique feature is that you can actually eat the red soil called Gioc, which is a mineral rich in iron oxide and used by locals as a spice in cooking. Along the shoreline, the sea turns blood red where the red soil erodes into the water, but just a few feet offshore, it shifts dramatically to a clear turquoise blue. Several beaches appear to be covered in gold due to the presence of pyrite, a mineral that sparkles intensely under the Gulf sun. Each year, artists from around the world gather on the island to create massive earth carpets using the island's naturally colored soils. Kīlauea Falls is a single-drop waterfall with a height of about 741 feet, where the Petra River plunges straight down without tiered steps. The water appears dark yellow-brown due to high concentrations of tannic acid released from decomposing rainforest vegetation upstream. The average flow rate reaches about 23,300 cubic feet per second, placing the falls among the most powerful by discharge worldwide. The surrounding area lacks barriers and modern concrete structures, allowing the landscape to remain largely undisturbed by human infrastructure. The ecosystem includes the golden frog, living within the leaf axils of giant bromeliad plants, and swift birds nesting behind the continuous water curtain. Access to the site typically requires travel by small aircraft because no direct road connections reach the falls. Paranella Park is a concrete architectural complex built in the tropical rainforest of northern Queensland during the 1930s by José Paranella, a Spanish immigrant. The entire site was constructed by hand using local materials such as sand, clay, and wood, and positioned directly beside a waterfall with strong seasonal flood risk. After nearly 1 century, reinforced concrete structures, including the castle stairways and fountains, have undergone severe weathering and are covered by moss ferns and invasive forest roots. On several roughly plastered walls, you can still observe distinct fingerprints left from the original hand-applied cement work. In multiple sections, thick moss layers and dense root systems now function as a binding structure that prevents older concrete segments from fully collapsing. Vatnajökull is the largest ice cap in Iceland and the largest in Europe, where natural ice caves known as crystal caves form inside the glacier and display intensely vivid blue colors. This coloration results from oxygen compressed within the ice for thousands of years, causing red wavelengths to be absorbed, while only deep blue light is reflected. Each ice cave is unique because it melts during summer and reforms in winter in different locations. The entire ice cap covers about 8% of Iceland, with an area exceeding 3,100 square miles and thickness reaching more than 3,200 feet in some sections. During summer, meltwater flow becomes powerful enough to sweep away a full-size truck, which is why visitors can only safely enter the caves from November to March. Measurements show Vatnajökull is losing around 10 billion US tons of ice each year, and experts warn that most of the glacier may disappear completely within 100 years. Manpupuner is located on the western side of the Ural Mountains in Russia and has been selected as one of the 7 wonders of Russia. The area is isolated and desolate, where a flat plateau suddenly features 7 massive stone pillars standing apart from the surrounding landscape. These stone pillars reach heights between about 98 and 138 feet, comparable to buildings of roughly 10 to 15 stories. Due to wind and snow erosion over millions of years, the pillars display different shapes when viewed from various angles, with some resembling a giant human figure and others resembling a horse's head or a sheep. Geologically, the pillars are the hardened cores of an ancient mountain range composed of quartz and quartzite sandstone, while surrounding softer rock layers were removed by rain, snow, and wind over thousands of years. Los Órganos is a vertical basalt cliff located along the northern coastline of La Gomera Island in the Canary Islands, directly facing rough ocean conditions and lacking any land access routes. This structure formed through ancient volcanic eruptions and was later shaped by long-term erosion that exposed a dense system of basalt columns. The cliff consists of thousands of prismatic basalt columns, mostly hexagonal in cross-section, rising from sea level to a height of about 260 feet and extending nearly 650 feet across. The surface color of the columns changes throughout the day due to the reflective properties of basalt minerals under shifting coastal light conditions. To observe the full formation, you can only approach by boat and view the structure directly from the ocean's surface. Derinkuyu Underground City is an underground settlement carved about 279 feet beneath the ground in the Cappadocia region, containing at least 18 vertically connected levels. The entire structure was excavated by hand directly into volcanic tuff, a soft rock formed from ancient volcanic ash deposits. Derinkuyu Underground City functions as a multi-level labyrinth rather than a single cave, with construction beginning around the 8th to 7th centuries before Christ and expanding in later periods. More than 15,000 ventilation shafts channel fresh air from the surface down to the deepest chambers to sustain long-term habitation. Passageways could be sealed using massive circular stone doors, weighing up to 1,100 pounds, operable only from the inside to prevent forced entry. The Capilano Suspension Bridge is one of the tallest and longest pedestrian bridges in the world, spanning the Capilano River and first built in 1889. Though it looks like a slender rope stretched through the forest, the current steel cable system can support up to 200,000 pounds, the equivalent of a Boeing 747. The surrounding temperate rainforest features Douglas fir trees that reach up to 280 feet, forming a dense canopy overhead. The current steel version was completed in 1956 in just 5 days, using 13 tons of concrete at each end of the bridge. Additional walkways are attached to old-growth trees using a special clamping system with no nails or bolts, preserving the tree's natural growth. Turda Salt Mine is regarded as one of the most impressive underground spaces by combining centuries of salt mining history with modern design, transforming an old industrial site into a futuristic-style recreational complex. After mining stopped in 1932, the tunnels were used to store cheese, thanks to the consistently cool temperature, before becoming a tourist destination. The Iosif Room forms a perfect cone descending about 370 feet, and its dense salt structure allows sounds to echo up to 20 times. Beneath it lies a lake inside a cavern nearly 300 feet tall with a futuristic wooden island where visitors can paddle boats in a closed underground space. The air is filled with ultra-fine salt particles that support respiratory health and attract many people seeking relief from conditions such as asthma. Total salt reserves are estimated at roughly 42 million US tons, enough to supply all of humanity for 60 years without external sources. Ashisli Wilderness in the United States is defined by tall, slender rock columns shaped by millions of years of erosion, forming a distinctive desert landscape. Unlike many semi-arid regions dominated by red or yellow tones, this area displays layers of gray-white, black and pale orange across its surface. Geologists estimate that thousands of hoodoos and spire formations crowd together within a core zone of about 6 square miles with unusually high density. Roughly 30% of these formations are considered fragile, with their stems eroded down to widths of only 4 to 6 inches, while still supporting sandstone caps weighing from 400 pounds to 1,000 pounds. The ground is composed mainly of bentonite, an ancient volcanic ash that can absorb water and expand to 7 to 10 times its original volume. During summer, humidity drops to nearly zero, and the wilderness contains no natural water sources within dozens of miles. The Old Man of Storr is a massive basalt column, often called the Giant's Finger, rising through the fog of Scotland and making the Highlands feel like an alien world. Scientists have measured 24 stacked layers of basalt formed by violent volcanic eruptions around 60 million years ago. Between the stone pillars are narrow gaps only a few feet wide, where wind funnels through and doubles in speed, strong enough to knock down both humans and animals. Though it stands just 160 feet tall, the summit wasn't reached by humans until 1955, due to its vertical and crumbling surface, once thought unclimbable. With an elevation of 2,359 feet above sea level, this rock formation once served as a natural landmark for Norse warriors navigating the fog-bound seas. Madain Saleh is known for over 100 intricately carved sandstone tombs that have remained almost perfectly preserved for thousands of years. In the Hegra site, massive tombs as tall as 5 to 7-story buildings were sculpted from top to bottom by Nabatean craftsmen who suspended themselves on wooden scaffolds in the middle of the desert. Despite their palace-like facades, these structures were hollow burial chambers inside. The Nabateans dug over 130 deep wells through solid rock to access water, allowing them to sustain a green oasis in an otherwise arid landscape. Temperatures here often exceed 120 degrees Fahrenheit, and the sandstone blocks have endured millions of years of extreme heat and abrasive sandstorms with winds reaching 60 miles per hour. Many cliff faces are inscribed with ancient Nabatean script, which later evolved into the modern Arabic alphabet. Abraham Lake is a man-made reservoir in Alberta, Canada, formed in 1972 after the construction of the Bighorn Dam on the North Saskatchewan River. During winter, decomposing plant matter on the lake bed releases methane gas, which rises and becomes trapped beneath the ice, forming clearly stacked, white bubble columns. When standing on the frozen surface under safe conditions, you can observe compressed methane pockets beneath the ice, and controlled demonstrations show the released gas can ignite when lit. In summer, the bubbles disappear, but the lake becomes known for its bright turquoise color caused by fine rock flour suspended in the water, reflecting sunlight. The winter ice layer here can exceed 3 feet in thickness, creating low oxygen water conditions as methane displaces dissolved oxygen. Under these conditions, fish species such as lake trout and whitefish continue to survive and swim beneath the ice, adapted to prolonged oxygen-poor environments. Rio Tinto is a river in southern Spain, identified by naturally occurring red and orange water along its entire course. The water of Rio Tinto has extremely high acidity, with a pH value close to 2, and contains large amounts of dissolved metals, especially iron, produced by long-term interaction between water and sulfide-rich rock. The Rio Tinto region is recorded as one of the oldest continuous mining areas in human history, with activity dating back about 5,000 years. The combination of iron, sulfur, and minerals creates sharply layered color bands on the river surface and banks, including deep red, orange, yellow, and purple tones. Long-term erosion and mining have formed near vertical slopes approaching 90 degrees along the riverbanks and open pits, exposing distinct sedimentary and mineral layers. Pamukkale is Turkey's one-of-a-kind white wonder, where tiered turquoise mineral pools rest atop white limestone cliffs formed by calcium carbonate deposits over thousands of years. Every second, about 400 liters of mineral-rich water gush from geological faults, carrying more than 2.2 kilograms of dissolved calcium carbonate per cubic meter. Along the hillside, hundreds of shell-shaped pools are stacked like suspended shards of broken mirrors, clinging to steep, white rock walls. At the bottom of Cleopatra's Pool lie authentic Roman columns, toppled by a 7th century earthquake, where you can swim among relics that are thousands of years old. The landscape shifts dramatically with the light, and at sunset, the limestone terraces glow in radiant shades of pink, orange, and purple. Ijen crater is an active volcanic crater where blue flames appear when sulfur gases escape through fissures at temperatures exceeding 1,100 degrees Fahrenheit and ignite upon contact with oxygen. This blue flame phenomenon exists both day and night, but it is only clearly visible to the human eye between 2 and 5 in the morning, due to reduced daylight contrast. Inside the crater lies a turquoise-colored lake with an acidity level of approximately 0.5 pH, recorded as the most acidic lake in the world and capable of corroding metal in a short time. Vent openings continuously release dense white sulfur smoke that blankets the entire crater environment. The crater floor lacks any vegetation and consists only of sharp rock walls and exposed geological surfaces under constant exposure to toxic gases. To observe the blue flames directly, you must enter the area at night while wearing a gas mask to move through thick sulfur fumes. Quinta de Regalera is an estate and garden complex near the historic center of Sintra, designed as a symbolic architectural environment rather than a large-scale royal palace. The entire site was developed under the direction of Carvalho Monteiro, incorporating a high density of symbols linked to alchemy, Freemasonry, the Knights Templar, and late 19th century European esoteric thought. Beneath dense vegetation lies an underground tunnel network carved directly into granite bedrock, connecting multiple structures while preserving the terrain and forest above. At the center of this system are vertical stone wells descending about 89 feet below ground level, surrounded by spiral staircases leading downward through the complex. The staircase structure is divided into 9 levels, corresponding to concepts of hell, purgatory, and heaven described in Dante's Divine Comedy. As you move through this space, the controlled transition between narrow, dark passages and open, illuminated exits functions as a deliberate spatial orientation mechanism rather than decorative design. Jusangjoli Cliff is a coastal basalt formation created by eruptions of Halasan volcano hundreds of thousands of years ago, when molten lava met cold seawater and contracted rapidly. This rapid cooling process produced dark gray basalt columns with hexagonal, pentagonal, or quadrilateral cross-sections, stacked tightly with heights ranging from about 65 to 98 feet. The columnar cliff extends for roughly 1.2 miles along the southern coast of Jeju Island, forming a continuous rock wall directly facing the ocean. When tides rise, ocean waves strike the vertical columns and surge upward into white water plumes several yards high, revealing direct interaction between the sea and volcanic bedrock. Today, visitors access the site via a short coastal trail that leads to designated observation points overlooking the lava columns. Chan Baori is a famous stepwell built around the 8th century under King Chanda, known for its perfect geometric layout and massive scale reaching nearly 100 feet deep into the ground. The entire site contains exactly 3,500 narrow, steep steps arranged in a perfectly symmetrical maze that still puzzles modern architects, who cannot explain how such precision was achieved using only primitive tools. The temperature at the bottom is consistently 5 to 6 degrees Celsius cooler than the top, making it a natural air conditioning system during summers reaching 113 degrees Fahrenheit. Built entirely without cement or binding agents, this massive structure has remained stable for over 1,200 years despite earthquakes and geological shifts. Dinjandi is a large waterfall system in the West Fjords region where multiple cascades descend from a plateau with a total vertical drop of about 328 feet. The structure of Dinjandi widens as the water falls, measuring about 98 feet wide at the top and nearly 197 feet wide at the base, forming a distinct fan shape. The water flows over ancient basalt cliffs with a geological age of approximately 13 to 14 million years. The surrounding landscape lacks tall vegetation and consists mainly of moss-loose rock and deep fjords typical of the region. During winter, heavy snowfall can completely cut off road access to Dinjandi for extended periods. When standing near the base of the falls, you observe dense spray rising continuously, often wetting camera surfaces within seconds. Hashima Island is an artificial island off the coast of Nagasaki Prefecture, Japan, expanded with concrete and mining waste to seal an extensive coal mine beneath the seabed. During peak operation, the island's surface was densely covered with reinforced concrete buildings constructed tightly together to maximize living space on a very limited area. After the coal mine closed in 1974, all residents left within a short period and the island became completely uninhabited. In the marine environment, salt water continuously penetrates the concrete structures, corroding internal steel and causing progressive structural collapse from within. From 1974 until 2009, access to the island was strictly prohibited to prevent accidents caused by severe structural deterioration. Katski Pillar is a single natural limestone monolith about 130 feet tall, located near the town of Chayatura in western Georgia. The site gained global attention because the ruins of an ancient church were found on its summit after centuries without access, first reached by climbers in 1944. Research confirms that the structure on the top was built around the 9th or 10th century on a surface area of only about 1,600 square feet. Within this extremely limited space stands a small monastic complex consisting of a church, a crypt, a wine cellar, and surrounding walls. The pillar rises vertically and remains completely isolated from the ground, long leaving unanswered how construction materials were transported to the summit. Katska Pillar represents the stylite tradition of monastic isolation, and today the only access is a vertical metal ladder restricted exclusively to male monks. Laguna Verde is known as the emerald jewel of the plateau, famous for its vivid green color created by dense concentrations of minerals and arsenic beneath the towering Licancaba volcano. The lake sits at an elevation of 14,100 feet, similar to the Everest base area, where oxygen drops to about 12% and can cause altitude sickness without acclimatization. Its color is not constant. When winds are calm, the surface appears mirror-like, but when strong winds stir the bottom sediments, the bright emerald tone becomes visible. Even when the high-altitude temperature drops to -6 degrees Fahrenheit, the lake remains unfrozen due to extremely high salt and mineral content. For centuries, no tribe or civilization settled near it, and the absence of vegetation, wildlife, and sound has turned the area into a true dead zone, isolated from the outside world. Angel Falls is the world's tallest, uninterrupted waterfall, descending from the flat-topped Auyan Tepui Mesa with nearly vertical cliff faces in Canaima National Park, Venezuela. The waterfall reaches a total height of about 3,210 feet, including a free fall of roughly 2,648 feet. Because the site lies deep within dense rainforest without direct road access, most people can only observe the falls by helicopter or by wooden boats after several days of river travel. The name Angel Falls comes from Jimmy Angel, an American pilot who first documented the waterfall from the air in 1933. During periods of strong wind or reduced water flow, the falling water is blown sideways and disperses into mist before reaching the ground. The water at the base of the falls often appears tea-brown or amber-colored due to tannins produced by the long-term chemical breakdown of ancient forest leaves on the mesa above. The Gulf of Carpentaria in northern Australia is the only place on Earth where the morning glory clouds phenomenon can be predicted and observed on a regular basis. This phenomenon belongs to the roll cloud type, with individual cloud bands reaching lengths of up to 620 miles and moving at speeds of about 37 miles per hour. The cloud structure maintains a stable tubular geometry for several hours, despite carrying massive amounts of atmospheric moisture at low altitude. Under specific atmospheric conditions, the phenomenon can appear as 8 to 10 parallel cloud bands forming at the same time. Morning glory clouds most commonly occur between September and November, driven by interactions between sea breezes, high humidity, and the enclosed Gulf geography. Before formation, local residents and meteorologists record a sudden rise in humidity, and under suitable conditions, you can observe sustained gliding activities along the length of these cloud formations. The Dark Hedges is a majestic natural landmark in Northern Ireland, where European beech trees have stood for more than 200 years. Though not native to the region, the trees were imported by the Stuart family in 1775 to create an impressive entrance to Grace Hill House. Instead of growing in balanced symmetry, the branches stretch asymmetrically, extending dozens of feet across the road without collapsing. Originally, there were about 150 trees, but now fewer than 90 remain due to aging and severe storms. In 2016, after a powerful storm, wood from fallen trees was carved into 10 unique doors, each representing an episode of Game of Thrones. Since 2017, the road has been completely closed to vehicles to protect the fragile roots and reduce the risk of falling branches. Ice Riesenwelt is a massive world of ice where thousand-year-old formations create a natural palace deep within the limestone mountain. Inside the cave, there are no elevators. Visitors must climb a total of 1,400 steps, equal to hiking a 40-story building. There is no electric lighting, preserving the cave's untouched beauty and preventing ice from melting. Oil lamps reveal dark blue ice blocks compressed over time by new layers and the massive weight of the limestone mountain above. Lake Kaindi sits at an elevation of about 6,500 feet in the Tian Shan Mountains of Kazakhstan and was formed after a major earthquake in the year 1911. While the lake's surface is pierced by dozens of bare spruce trunks, the shrank spruce branches and needles remain fully intact, more than 100 feet below, preserved for over 115 years. Because the lake's temperature stays below 43 degrees Fahrenheit year-round, the submerged forest remains perfectly frozen, like it is sealed inside a natural freezer. The water's color shifts depending on the time of day and mineral content, ranging from turquoise to deep green. The lake is so clear that even from the shore, you can see the tree crowns lying dozens of feet beneath the surface. In winter, the lake freezes completely, and many thrill-seekers drill through the thick ice to dive down and explore the hidden forest below. Semukchampi lies deep within the tropical rainforest of Alta Verapaz province and is regarded as one of Guatemala's most striking natural wonders. Unlike most rivers that flow on the surface, the Cahabon River here disappears beneath a massive limestone roof stretching nearly 1,000 feet, creating a natural series of pools on top. The water in these pools has an emerald green color due to a high concentration of calcium carbonate deposited from mountain hot springs. These pools are arranged in terraces, and smooth stone edges allow people to slide from one level to another like a natural water park. While bathing, small fish swim up and nibble on dead skin cells, acting like a natural fish spa. At the end of the pool system is a place called El Sumidero, where the river is sucked underground so violently that almost no one who has fallen in has ever resurfaced immediately. Ellora is famous for its complex of 34 caves carved directly into basalt cliffs, stretching over 1¼ miles along the Charanandri hillside, showcasing a rare fusion of 3 major religions. At the heart of the site is the Kīlauea temple, carved from the top of the mountain down to its base using a reverse construction technique unlike any traditional method. To build the main shrine, workers removed between 200,000 and 400,000 tons of basalt rock without detaching it from the bedrock. In the year 1682, Emperor Aurangzeb deployed 1,000 men who worked for 3 years with hammers and chisels, but managed only minor damage due to the hardness of the rock. Surrounding the temple are hundreds of life-sized elephant and lion sculptures carved directly from the same bedrock. During the rainy season, waterfalls cascade from cliffs several dozen feet high, forming a massive water curtain at the cave entrances and turning the entire complex into a stone island surrounded by jungle. Hoh Rainforest is a temperate rainforest located in the northwestern United States, where a cool climate and extremely high precipitation sustain dense forest ecosystems. Average annual rainfall here reaches about 138 to 157 inches, allowing mosses and ferns to grow continuously across tree trunks and canopies. Thick moss layers cover trees from base to crown and hang from upper branches, forming a natural structure that absorbs ambient sound within the forest. The forest contains species such as Sitka spruce and western red cedar, with many individuals exceeding 300 feet in height and living for several centuries. When large trees fall, their trunks become nurse logs that provide habitat and nutrients for numerous young plants growing directly on decaying wood over decades. The ecosystem also includes yellow banana slugs measuring up to about 10 inches long, which function as key decomposers by processing fallen leaves on the forest floor. Hutt Lagoon is a coastal salt lake in Western Australia, used for large-scale beta-carotene production for food coloring and vitamin A. The lake color results from dense populations of Donaliella salina, a salt-tolerant algae rich in carotenoids. Depending on light conditions, cloud cover, and salinity, the water surface shifts between pale pink, deep red, and light purple within the same day. During hot, dry seasons, intense evaporation exposes white salt crystal fields interspersed with highly saline pink water pools. The lake runs parallel to the coastline and is separated from the Indian Ocean by a narrow belt of white sand dunes and low vegetation. When in direct contact, you observe brittle salt surfaces underfoot and strong buoyancy caused by the lake's high salinity. Nemrut Dagi is famous for its massive stone statues, each standing 8 to 9 meters tall, depicting King Antiochus alongside Greek, Armenian, and Persian gods, as well as sacred animals like lions and eagles. The mountain's peak is not natural. King Antiochus ordered millions of fist-sized stones to be piled up into a 50-meter-tall mound covering his tomb. The statue heads were not deliberately removed, but were knocked off by earthquakes over thousands of years, each head standing around 6 feet tall and weighing several tons, equal to a large SUV. One lion relief carved on the slope features stars on its body, believed to be a stone horoscope chart showing the planetary alignment on July 7th, 62 BC, the groundbreaking date of the site. Despite using the most advanced geophysical scanning tools, archaeologists have not yet located the burial chamber of the king. Chingi de Bemaraha is a limestone plateau in western Madagascar and is recognized by UNESCO as a World Heritage Site for its distinctive geological structure. The term Singi in the Malagasy language means a place where walking barefoot is impossible, directly describing the sharp and hazardous terrain surface. The limestone formations were shaped over long periods by groundwater and wind erosion, forming dense stone towers, with some columns reaching several hundred feet in height. Despite arid conditions and razor-sharp rock surfaces, life persists here, including Sifaka lemurs and plant species capable of rooting directly on stone. From reinforced suspension walkways, you can observe strong microclimate contrasts, with summit temperatures reaching 104 to 122 degrees Fahrenheit, while lower fissures remain cooler and humid. Multicolored icebergs are a drifting ice phenomenon observed in Antarctic waters, identified by parallel color bands embedded within the ice mass. These bands include blue, green, yellow-brown, brown and black, replacing the uniform white appearance typical of icebergs. Green stripes form when the natural blue color of compressed ice combines with yellow pigments from frozen marine algae remains. Most of these color layers originally form below sea level during ice accumulation and freezing processes. The pattern becomes visible only when an iceberg loses stability and capsizes, exposing its submerged base above the ocean's surface. The Golden Bridge at Sunworld Ba Na Hills in Da Nang stands out for its elevated walkway, supported by giant hands, and was inaugurated in June 2018. Although the hands appear carved from ancient stone, they are constructed using steel frames, metal mesh, and fiberglass coating. Installation required massive scaffolding and cranes to operate on steep mountain slopes, with each finger measuring around 5 feet tall, and the entire hand structure rising several stories high. The bridge spans about 490 feet in length and 10 feet in width, accommodating 5 to 6 people walking side by side. Exposed to highly corrosive sea mist, the railings are coated with gold-tinted titanium to ensure long-term durability. Access to the bridge is via the world's longest single-wire cable car, certified by Guinness World Records, an engineering feat crossing rugged mountain terrain. In the peaceful heart of Beppu lies Chinoika Jigoku, a blood-red lake considered Japan's oldest hell and resembling something out of a mythical tale. This vivid red color is entirely natural, caused by iron oxide and magnesium-rich mud pushed up from underground like a giant mineral soup. Each day, the area releases about 130,000 tons of hot water, enough to flood an entire town within hours, if not for the natural drainage system. Although full-body bathing isn't possible, there's a foot bath beside the lake, where the water is diverted and cooled for visitors to sit and relax. The red mud here was once used to produce a well-known medicinal ointment from the Meiji era, highly effective for treating skin conditions. Boynice Castle is a stone castle built on a natural limestone hill in central Slovakia, originally constructed as a wooden fortress before being rebuilt in stone through multiple historical phases. Beneath the castle foundations lies a natural limestone cave containing underground lakes that are structurally integrated into the building's base system. The castle architecture includes hundreds of windows of varying sizes and shapes, arranged to channel natural light into interior spaces. The entire structure is surrounded by a dense English-style forest park that forms a natural buffer around the site. Today, Boynice Castle hosts the International Festival of Ghosts and Spirits and is frequently used as a filming location for European fairy tale productions. Uzon caldera is one of the most powerful and complex hydrothermal systems on Earth, formed about 40,000 years ago on the Kamchatka Peninsula. Within an area of only 58 square miles, more than 500 geothermal features operate simultaneously, creating an intensely active and chaotic geological zone. It is also one of the few places where natural oil formation occurs rapidly, with organic compounds being heated into crude oil in just 50 years, instead of millions. Luzon's landscape is multicolored, featuring turquoise lakes, yellow sulfur mud fields, rust-red iron deposits, and bright green algae mats. Around 65 chemical elements are continuously reacting here, turning the caldera into a natural laboratory operating around the clock. Massive Kamchatka brown bears regularly visit the area to bathe in warm mud and feed on mineral-rich algae that help remove parasites from their skin. The Atlantic Ocean Road is a coastal route in Norway that links small rocky islands through a system of bridges and causeways running along the edge of the Atlantic Ocean. The route includes 8 consecutive bridges with curved geometry and changing elevation to cross narrow channels, leading drivers to give it a nickname, describing its unusual road profile. The most prominent structure is the Storseisendet Bridge, where the curved design creates an optical illusion of an abrupt drop when viewed from certain angles. The road is anchored on exposed gneiss bedrock nearly 2 billion years old, positioned directly along a coastline shaped by long-term marine erosion. To complete a length of about 5.2 miles, construction lasted 6 years, from 1983 to 1989, and endured 12 major ocean storms hitting the site directly. During rough sea conditions, Atlantic waves reaching several dozen feet can strike the roadway, and while driving here, you can directly observe wind and wave forces acting on the infrastructure. Painted Hills is one of the most remarkable natural wonders in the United States globally, known for its vivid layers of rock and soil that look like painted strokes across the hillsides. Their colors shift depending on humidity and the angle of sunlight, changing from bright red to orange or dark brown within a few hours. These colorful bands are actually volcanic ash from ancient eruptions of the Cascade Range carried more than 100 miles before settling in this area. Although it now appears semi-arid, the soil layers reveal that millions of years ago, this place was a dense rainforest, receiving up to 80 inches of rain per year. The dense clay structure and high concentration of harsh minerals make it nearly impossible for most plants to survive. These layers have also preserved fossils of many extinct species, including prehistoric camels and ancient rhinoceroses. Trona Pinnacles is regarded as a geological graveyard, featuring more than 500 tufa towers rising from the floor of an ancient lake. Carbon measurements show these formations spent nearly 100,000 years under immense water pressure before the lake eventually evaporated. Although some towers reach about 140 feet in height, their structure is fragile, with numerous hollow chambers formed by uneven mineral deposition. The pH level of the soil and water when the lake still existed could reach 10 or higher, similar to the alkalinity of household bleach. Because of its rugged terrain and striking appearance, major automotive brands such as Land Rover and Jeep frequently film off-road commercials here. Nearby, the town of Trona developed around strong mineral resources, where residents adapted to a harsh environment in which drinking water costs more than minerals. The Tatacoa Desert is a vast, semi-arid region in Colombia, where heavily eroded terrain forms labyrinths of channels and sharp earth towers shaped by long geological processes. The area is divided into two contrasting zones, one glowing red like Mars, and the other gray and silent, resembling the surface of the moon. Despite its desert name, Tatacoa is actually the remnant of a tropical dry forest, once fed by a rich river system linking the Amazon basin with the Magdalena Basin. A major geological shift choked off the water supply and transformed the forest into a barren land spanning about 127 square miles within a brief moment of geological time. The native melocactus species grows close to the ground with a brain-like shape to minimize water loss and absorb small amounts of moisture from night fog. With its equatorial position and near-zero humidity, this is one of the few places on Earth where all 88 recognized constellations can be observed clearly. Keshem Island is a dolphin-shaped landmass in the Strait of Hormuz off southern Iran, known for geological formations sculpted by millions of years of erosion. The island covers about 580 square miles, more than twice the size of Singapore, and far larger than Bahrain. Keshem contains the Namakdan Salt Cave, recognized as the longest natural salt cave in the world, where crystallized salt forms white flowing patterns, and the entire salt dome rises roughly 0.2 inches each year. Many of the tall rock walls are carved into thousands of droplet-shaped holes, spiral cavities, and narrow grooves too tight for an adult to pass through. The concentrated brine here is far saltier than ordinary seawater, preventing any life from surviving and creating silent white ribbons along the cave floor. While most of the island consists of desert and stone, its coastal zone hosts the Hara mangrove forest, home to nearly 80% of marine species in the entire Persian Gulf region. Seven Colored Earths is a geological site located inland on the island of Mauritius, where the ground surface displays multiple color layers caused by long-term volcanic weathering processes. The sediments originate from ancient basaltic lava that decomposed into soil, rich in metal oxides such as iron and aluminum, forming stable color bands over time. The site consists of soil mounds reaching about 49 feet in thickness, remaining intact despite prolonged exposure to heavy rainfall and tropical storms. The surface at Seven Colored Earths supports almost no vegetation, creating a barren zone surrounded by dense tropical forest. Today, visitors can only view the area from designated walkways and wooden barriers, as direct access is restricted for geological preservation. Grey Glacier is part of the southern Patagonia ice field, the third largest mass of ice on Earth, known for its immense scale and remote beauty that draws thousands of visitors each year. Icebergs that carve from the glacier often appear deep blue because their cores, compressed for centuries, have only just been exposed. The glacier spans about 4 miles in width and rises more than 100 feet above the water, while the submerged section extends much deeper. GPS measurements show that some areas near the glacier's front can move up to 75 feet in just 7 days. Even when nearby terrain is calm, katabatic winds descending from the ice peaks can suddenly accelerate surface gusts to 50 miles per hour. Smaller ice pieces drifting to the shore are extremely pure, and many travelers even use them to chill whiskey on the spot. Lena Pillars is a chain of vertical limestone columns extending about 25 miles along the Lena River in the Siberian region of Russia. The site preserves significant sediment layers and fossils associated with the Cambrian period, when biological diversity began to increase rapidly on Earth. Thousands of limestone pillars stand tightly packed, reaching heights between 490 and 980 feet, and contain fossils of extinct ancient marine organisms such as trilobites. Extreme temperature contrasts between winter lows near -76 degrees Fahrenheit and summer highs around 104 degrees Fahrenheit drive repeated freeze-thaw cycles within limestone fractures over millions of years. Because of steep and arid surfaces, Vegetation is scarce on the pillars, and access for observation is typically limited to riverboats or helicopters. Valle de Cocora is an iconic valley in Colombia where Quindío wax palms rise from 200 feet to more than 260 feet, standing above a landscape of high mountains and dense mist. These palms require about 50 years just to form a trunk and over 100 years to reach full height, and they can survive up to 300 years in harsh mountain weather. In this valley, hummingbird species such as the great sapphire wing can be seen beating their wings at an extraordinary rate of up to 1,200 times per minute to cope with thin air and cold temperatures. Cocora holds about 85% of the world's remaining wax palms, yet most of them are already more than 100 years old. The main concern is that livestock consume nearly all young shoots, leaving the valley filled with ancient giants but few new trees to replace them. Hoia Baciu Forest in Romania is known as a strange woodland marked by unusual events and long-standing reports of mysterious disappearances. At the center lies a perfectly circular clearing where no vegetation has grown for hundreds of years, despite conditions matching the surroundings. Trees here do not grow vertically, but bend from 90 to 360 degrees at the base, creating uniform clockwise twists across the area. Many visitors report their watches shifting by 5 to 15 minutes after only a few hours inside the forest, with no clear explanation. About 70% of people entering the area experience immediate physical symptoms, such as rashes, skin burning sensations, and intense headaches. Shiprock is a massive, isolated rock formation rising from a flat desert plain and is considered a significant landmark both geologically and spiritually in the American Southwest. It is the solid core of an extinct volcano that last erupted about 30 million years ago, with softer outer layers eroded away and leaving a hardened magma throat standing nearly 1,600 feet above the ground. Early settlers believed its silhouette resembled a giant 19th century sailing ship crossing the desert, which led to the name Shiprock. Three straight rock walls extend outward from its center, stretching up to 5 miles long and rising nearly 650 feet high, forming a rare geological structure. Because it sits in an open desert plain, Shiprock can be seen from dozens of miles away. Its minette rock core erodes hundreds of times more slowly than the surrounding sedimentary layers, allowing the formation to remain intact despite millions of years of wind and sand. Aogashima is a remote volcanic island in the Philippine Sea, located about 223 miles south of Tokyo, with a permanent population of only about 160 to 170 residents. The island is formed as a large volcanic caldera, inside which stands a secondary volcanic cone, named Maruyama, that is recorded as still active, with its last eruption occurring in the late 18th century. Steep vertical cliffs, several hundred feet high, surround the island, completely isolating the settlement within the caldera from the open ocean. Ongoing geothermal activity produces numerous natural steam vents across the island's surface. Local residents use this geothermal heat directly for cooking, heating, and operating public steam bath facilities. Waitomo is one of New Zealand's most vibrant geothermal zones, where colourful pools shift constantly and turn the landscape into a natural paint palette. The water remains superheated without evaporating due to extreme pressure from deep rock layers, creating a system similar to a giant time bomb ready to erupt through fractures. The pools contain extremely high concentrations of heavy metals such as antimony, arsenic, mercury, and thallium, making them more toxic reservoirs than typical scenic lakes. Devil's Bath stands out with its luminous green color caused by a mix of concentrated sulfur and iron oxide. Some geysers here can shoot superheated water up to 65 feet high and were once triggered manually by reducing surface tension with soap. Despite the harsh chemistry, scientists have identified more than 28,000 microorganisms that survive without oxygen or sunlight by consuming sulfur and heavy metals. The underwater waterfall is a famous natural illusion in Mauritius, where the ocean floor creates a massive waterfall-like effect when viewed from above. In reality, it is a continuous flow of sand and sediment falling into a deep opening, forming the appearance of cascading water without any actual water dropping. From shallow turquoise waters, only about 150 meters deep, the seabed suddenly drops away into a chasm reaching 4,000 meters. Measurements show that the sand and sediment movement occurs non-stop, 24 hours a day. Observations also indicate that sea level in this region is rising about 2.1 millimeters per year, which may gradually alter light refraction and cause the illusion to fade or disappear in the future. Gioc Falls is a waterfall formed by the Sharavati River and is classified as a major unsegmented plunge waterfall in India. The waterfall structure consists of 4 separate streams, named Raja Rora Rocket and Rani, each differing in flow velocity and fall shape. Water volume at Gioc Falls changes sharply by season, with reduced flow during dry periods and a sudden increase during the monsoon from July to September. Access to the base of the falls requires descending about 1,400 steep steps carved along the cliff face where surfaces remain wet from spray and moss. From this position, you observe the water plunging vertically from the cliff edge amid constant wind and mist conditions. Gioc Falls appears frequently in Indian cinema, particularly in Bollywood and Kannada films, as a recurring natural filming location. Weeping Wall is a vertical limestone cliff rising over 980 feet along the Icefields Parkway near Mount Cirrus in Alberta, Canada. The rock face hosts hundreds of thin water streams that do not fall into a lake, but instead seep directly into loose rock debris and vegetation below. In winter, all flowing water freezes solid, transforming the cliff into massive blue ice columns firmly attached to the rock face. Baikal Waterfall was named the most unique waterfall in the world by the World Geography magazine in 2013, thanks to its mushroom-shaped limestone covered year-round in vivid green moss. The 8-meter-tall rock is not just a surface for flowing water, but a living structure built over time as the moss traps calcium carbonate crystals and forms new layers of stone. Water erupts from underground at high pressure after traveling through a limestone cave system stretching for hundreds of meters, creating a surprisingly steady flow regardless of dry or rainy seasons. In June 2021, part of the moss-covered limestone collapsed under its own weight, but nature is slowly healing as new moss grows back on the remaining rock. In winter, when temperatures drop, the water jets freeze into crystal white icicles surrounding the moss, turning the site into something out of a frozen movie scene. Dallol is the hottest, most acidic, and lowest land point on Earth, located about 157 feet below sea level in the Danakil Depression. The vivid yellow, orange-red, and bright green hues are not caused by microbes, but by a chemical blend of salt, iron, sulfur, and minerals forced upward by boiling water. The pools here contain super-saturated brine, so dense it thickens like metallic syrup, reaching concentrations up to 525 grams per kilogram, 15 times saltier than the ocean. CO2 and sulfurous gases constantly leak in the area, and visitors are warned not to lean too close to the pools due to the risk of fainting from low oxygen. The Afar people still survive here, extracting salt by hand in 120-degree heat without machinery and transporting it across the scorched landscape with long camel caravans. Goblin Valley State Park is known for its dense concentration of tens of thousands of Entrada sandstone formations shaped into unusual hoodoos that create a natural maze-like landscape. These formations gained modern attention in the late 1920s when Arthur Chaffin discovered the area while searching for lost cattle and named it Mushroom Valley. The strange shapes are not carved by humans, but formed by wind, sand, and rain, eroding soft rock layers faster than hard layers over millions of years. Within an area of about 3 square miles, countless stone columns of varying sizes and shapes cover the valley floor. The Entrada sandstone is so soft that erosion can be observed after major storms, as the formations change shape more rapidly than in most regions. White Desert stands out in the Sahara Desert, with its pure white chalk terrain stretching endlessly and creating a sharp contrast against the blazing orange sands. This white color is not sand, but massive chalk deposits shaped over millions of years and eroded into unusual formations. Desert winds carved mushroom-shaped structures, standing about 30 to 50 feet tall through continuous and extreme aeolian processes. During major sandstorms, fast-moving quartz particles can polish the chalk surface into smooth, ceramic-like shapes. In this arid environment, fennec foxes survive with large ears for heat dissipation and the ability to go without water for weeks by absorbing moisture from prey. Laguna Colorada is known for its vibrant red waters caused by red algae, sharply contrasting with pure white salt islands and home to thousands of rare James's flamingos. The lake covers about 23 square miles, but has an average depth of only 14 to 20 inches, shallow enough to almost walk across. Watercolor shifts throughout the day based on wind and temperature, turning from deep red to burnt orange, sometimes with patches of green from different types of algae. The large white streaks on the lake's surface aren't snow, but thick deposits of crystallized borax salt. Flamingos here are born with gray-white feathers and gradually turn bright pink by feeding on the lake's red algae. Setenil de las Bodegas is a small town in southern Spain, famous for its whitewashed houses built directly into and beneath massive limestone overhangs. Some streets, like Calle Cuevas de la Sombra, have never seen direct sunlight as they lie entirely beneath a giant rock slab connecting two cliff walls. Because these roofs are made of solid stone, weighing tens of tons, residents never worry about re-roofing or storm damage. The town's name comes from the Latin phrase septem nihil, meaning 7 times nothing, referring to the Christian army's 7 failed attempts to conquer it. Taking advantage of the natural humidity and air pressure inside the rock, locals store wine and cured meats in stone alcoves without modern refrigeration. Wistman's Wood is an ancient oak woodland located on the Dartmoor Plateau in southwestern England, existing as a remnant of a prehistoric forest ecosystem. The forest grows directly on granite clitter formations, where stacked boulders create rugged terrain and deep cavities that have limited grazing and human disturbance for centuries. The oak trees here reach great age but rarely exceed about 23 feet in height due to thin soils, strong winds, and harsh upland climate conditions. Tree trunks commonly appear twisted and stunted, reflecting long-term biological adaptation to exposed rock surfaces and persistent moisture. In local historical records and folklore, the forest is associated with ancient Druid beliefs and supernatural hunts, linked to its difficult access and the visual isolation of its inner core. The Valley of Balls is a steppe area in western Kazakhstan where thousands of spherical stone formations are distributed directly across the ground surface. These stone spheres range in diameter from several inches to several feet, with some specimens comparable in size to a small structure. Many spheres have fractured due to long-term weathering, revealing clearly defined concentric internal layers. Geological studies indicate that the formations developed through concretion processes as minerals gradually accumulated around a core within ancient marine sediments over extended periods. After sea levels retreated and surrounding sediments eroded, wind and arid climate conditions progressively shaped the concretions into near-spherical forms. Surface coloration changes with lighting conditions, typically shifting from dark iron-rich tones under strong sunlight to deep red or purple hues under lower light levels. Hexagon Pool is a natural water basin surrounded by hexagonal basalt columns located on the Golan Heights in Israel. This structure formed from slowly cooling volcanic lava in the past, producing columnar jointing that fractures rock into regular geometric shapes. The basalt columns here stand upright or lean at varied angles, tightly stacked to form stone walls enclosing the pool. Each column measures about 12 to 16 inches in diameter, and the overall formation surrounds a pool roughly 16 feet deep. A waterfall drops directly from the top of the basalt columns into the pool, with flow often maintained even during dry seasons. Columnar jointing occurs at only a few locations worldwide, such as Giant's Causeway, and at Hexagon Pool, the hexagonal edges remain sharp despite long-term erosion. Devil's Postpile is known as a massive stone wall shaped by the combined forces of fire and ice, standing within the Sierra Nevada for tens of thousands of years. This basalt mass was once a pool of molten lava more than 400 feet deep, before cooling and fracturing into vertical columns. Although the surface appears uniform, more than half the columns have 6 sides, while the rest have 4, 5, or 7, with varying shapes and sizes. Long scratches remain on the top surfaces, left by ancient glaciers that slid across and ground the hard basalt smooth. Dust and small stones trapped beneath the ice polished this surface for thousands of years, creating a noticeable reflective sheen. Ta Prohm is one of the most iconic temples in Cambodia's Angkor complex, built in the late 12th century during the reign of King Jayavarman VII. The tung tree roots here do not grow upward from the ground, but cascade down from above like liquid waterfalls, infiltrating the sandstone to extract moisture and minerals while gradually engulfing the entire structure. According to forestry biology studies, the turgor pressure inside these roots can reach several dozen kilograms per square centimeter, and given their massive size, the total force exerted on the stone can amount to hundreds of tons. Though destructive, the roots also act as natural structural supports, helping preserve parts of the temple from total collapse over centuries. Ancient inscriptions reveal that the temple once held over 1,100 pounds of gold, 35 diamonds, more than 40,000 pearls, and countless other gemstones. Inside the temple, there is a special chamber where striking your chest produces a powerful echo throughout the stone room, a phenomenon that acoustic science has yet to fully explain.